The topic is Counterpart funding, new opportunities for development of financial market. Our roundtable is a part of Business Week in the Republic of Bashkortostan. I would like to thank the organizers of the roundtable. This is the Minister of Finance of the Republic. Also, I would like to thank them for the opportunity to discuss different topics, and the participants are more than 100 of authority officers and representatives of different businesses. Dear colleagues, I would like to start with the fact that last year we started. So we had a really good discussion, and we've come up with different recommendations. And the result of the roundtable of the last year was the resolution that established tasks of the experiment implementation on the Republic level. Also, we signed some kind of a contract between the government and some other banking businesses. Some resolutions have also been implemented, and in September the law is active, and the new stage is actually here, and the experiment is going to last for 2 years, and now the potential investors have the opportunity to do different operations concerning banks. Now you have to just join in the registry. So different legal entities and some other organizations can participate in that. In this current business situation that is characterized by not connecting with some unfriendly countries and some financial institutions. So it is obvious that the experiment is very important to accelerate the banking system. So to discuss these questions, there are lots of different speakers today. Today there are representatives of the State Duma, of different ministers, banks, and some republic authorities, and also representatives of some education sphere as well. So I would like to underline that that participants are. So I hope that the results of our roundtable will lead to some practical steps that we will take to develop this experiment on the Republic level. So I would like to say that we have half an hour and a half to discuss all the topics that has been stated by the speakers, and those who there are lots of speakers today, and I would like you to talk in time, to make presentations. So I would like you to give the floor to open. So I would like to give the floor to Lira Igislamovna, Deputy Prime Minister of the Government of the Republic of Bashkortostan, Minister of Finance of the Republic of Bashkortostan. So tell us about the key elements of counterpart funding in the Republic of Bashkortostan, and what are the key problems that should be solved right now. So good afternoon, Vladimir Borisovich. Good morning, everyone, the participants of the roundtable. So on behalf of the Minister of Finance, I would like to thank you all. And so the Republic of Bashkortostan is one of the the Russian Federation subjects that participate in the implementation of this project. So some other subjects of the Russian Federation also participate in that, and we have the events that we will hold during the next 2 years to solve the problems. So it's not an experiment now; it's a mechanism of counterpart funding. So I would like to underline that the head of the Republic of Bashkortostan, Radi Khabirov, last year supported this initiative. So last year we've gathered to just discuss this project, and now we're discussing the implementation of this project and the mechanism. So we don't really have a lot of time. We only have 24 months to do that, and the 4 months have already passed. So this kind of project is really important right now. So in the current year, and so lots of different authorities also paid attention to this experiment. So currently, the role of counterpart funding is really important. Even though there are some sanctions right now, but the interest is increasing. So we have some documentation that includes some events on the implementation of this project, and we also work. So we also have a Republic plan to develop the financial sphere of the Republic. We have a new plan in accordance with some new requirements that we have. So in March of this year, we've established a plan the plan of events. And I would like to say that the Republic is interested in the implementation of such projects, and as I said earlier, so it is really necessary and important to get the participants engaged in our work. Also, we have a plan of events. So it is being agreed upon, actually, with some authorities. And as Vladimir Borisovich said earlier, we established a council under the Prime Minister of the Republic of Bashkortostan, Andrei Nazarov. So different federal authorities also participate in that, and the participants of markets, some expert representatives, and some other organizations. So our plans include different events to develop the counterpart funding. It is really important to develop the informing. So we should inform our citizens about the finance sphere of the Republic. So the investment. So we also want to establish some kind of an investment platform, and this plan also includes. So we try to find some participants as well. We should also pay attention to some measures that we will take to overcome some barriers. And colleagues, you have to pay attention that we should do a lot of other things with the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation in accordance with the federal law. And we should also accelerate the federal regulation system. And our senators will help in this process. So as a part of the experiment, we should cooperate with our partners, with the representatives of our friendly countries. So that's why colleagues colleagues from from the allied subjects, we have to share the experience that we have, and this platform right now is organized as a part of the Business Week, just to start cooperating finally. So I would like to end my speech, and I hope that we will have fruitful cooperation during an hour and a half of this session, so that we can create some measures that will help later. So thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Lira Tiksamova, for your vision, and I hope that we will reach success altogether. As I mentioned before, here in our roundtable, they would also be the representatives of the legislative party, also the Senator of Russian Federation. And now I'd like to give the floor online. Ulbash Rabi Magamievich. Are you here? Can you hear us? Distinguished Vladimir Borisovich and also Irizakwanova, distinguished colleagues, let me, on behalf of administration, welcome the representatives of the Roundtable on such an essential topic for us, it's partnership financing. I also want to thank for the opportunity to join your roundtable, and I hope that ideas which would be discussed during this session would give us fruitful ideas. We need to estimate the positive impact and positive experiences that we had before. As for Islam communities, they right now distract themselves into their own financial industries. Right now, we have more than 500 such units with the active more than $3 billion. We are grateful that we are still involved, and our country is still involved into this global processes, and having an experiment on 4 different regions was a nice step on development of the legislation in the sphere of partners and partnership in financing. Further, we plan to increase the system and also eliminate any barriers that the industry is facing right now. Developing this legislation, the government and all the legislative branches were targeted at creation of new opportunities of getting the financial services and also investing the money in accordance with their traditional or religious principles. Earlier, it was heard that the volume of finances which is involved is not that high just because it doesn't meet other principles. But still, we hope that this experiment would help us to attract foreign investments from the allied countries, as it was mentioned before by the president of our country. These countries of Islam world are traditionally partners in solving of different issues of regional and global level. So the law adopted on the basis of partners financing is also one of the paths how we can reach success. Also, this experiment provides us to find the new models of legislation management. So we could say that 2 years, it's not that big and not that small. And right now, creating this type of legislation should unify the government, also Russian bank, legislation system, and so on. The main objective of our committee was implementation of the experiment and also provision of any amendments to the legislation system of financing. Of course, the result should be the recommendation on scaling the experiment through around Russian Federation, maybe with some amendments or even some new features. So expert committee representatives should be accepted soon, quite soon. So we are ready to start our work. Even now, regions and organizations are actively participating in the experiment, highlight different suggestions and topics within the framework of operation of this future committee. For example, integration of the products of partners, financing, and also state support, the opportunity to get the support, and also the spread of different legislation around the participants from the central bank. I hope that we'll have a lot of fruitful conversations and we'll hear the profitable suggestions for our committee. Thank you very much, Muharbi Magomedovich, for your work, for the participation that you have here. On left, we have your colleague, Oleg Evgenievich. He is also a representative of your republic. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. Speaking frankly, we have started the experiment quite not long ago, and from the historical point of view, this issue was already noticed many years ago, for example, in such parts as Dagestan and so on. Right now, in our country, there are more than 29 million representatives of Islam. So that's why halal banking would make it affordable for people, the representative of this religious group. As I mentioned before, we have started the experiment since September, and starting from this time, we already have some of the moments on the issues which are obvious for most of the participants of the market. As it was mentioned by the previous speakers, it's first of all lack of information for business community and also citizens. As for working with Islam banking, any participant of the market can use it and can use this resource. Not everyone knows the path, how to start and where to go. The second issue is that each republic, each participant of the project is now working on its own. That's why we need, it's high time, I could say, to create a unified system of interaction between the republics and exchange of the practices on the basis of the central bank or Ministry of Finances. Any legislative borders that we have, thresholds. Right now we have some issues where, for example, halal mortgage, and according to Sharia, is still estimated as a commercial activity, and you know that banking cannot provide some warranty activities or some lending activities. That's why we need to discuss this topic together with executive and legislative branches in order to eliminate these contradictions. What else I wanted to add? Within sanctions and the economic switch to the east, this topic becomes crucial because these novices would also attract a lot of investments from the Islamic countries. Maybe there would be no specialized banks, but still those banks which are already exist, they need to get the departments which would work with Islam finances. Especially in pilot regions, it is possible to launch in the nearest future. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to give the floor also online to the director of the Department of the Ministry of Finances, to Ivan Chebeskov. Thank you very much that you have joined us so early because you are in Moscow and we have the time difference. I wanted to ask, is it enough to have those level of legislation, regulations, what we have right now? What else should we manage, and how can you estimate the beginning of the experiment? Just because even though it has started not long ago, we would like to hear your feedback. Good morning, distinguished colleagues. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in your roundtable among such honorable representatives and participants. So I'd like to tell short that right now, those regulations which we have is not enough to scale it fully as a partners financing. It's just the first step. It's just experiment in order to scale up these instruments, these tools and products. We cannot large scale it without the understanding of the processes which are involved. That's why working jointly, we decided to do some changes. We realized that in current situation and on that stage of market development, we need to maximize all our efforts in order to get more instruments and tools to work not only within Russia, but also with our allied countries. The topic of this type of financing have been discussed earlier several times. There were lots of other instruments, but we had no opportunity to make it top priority. But within the situation on the market and within the situation in the world, this financial infrastructure, which was used for many years, went wrong. We realized that we need to build up new channels, new infrastructure, and find new tools. That's why Counterpart funding became one of the key tools which we can trust and which we can use together with our partners. It's like the structure to work with our partners. So taking into consideration the question of working within the country, there are lots of other countries which would choose it instead of any other tools. And it's an essential instrument which is used in interaction with allied countries. We see the next step as of counterpart funding as the way to invest foreign funds into our country where these principles are essential. So as I see, it's just the beginning of our path. So we are looking forward the first results of the experiment in order to understand what we can work on and what can we advance, where can we advance. We are planning to build up the new expert committee which would supervise this experiment. There are many respective people who understand the principles of Islamic financing, and they also understand the legislative system. This committee would observe the experiment and analyze the results which we'll get, and also they plan to work on scaling of our product, not only within region of the Russian Federation, but also like product scaling and to get more and more products of counterpart funding to other countries and also to fix the norms and regulations in the legislative sphere. We have a positive outlook on this product, and we are glad to see such an active involvement of subjects and also those who are pilot objects too. So we are ready for the interaction. We are ready for further work. Thank you very much for the opportunity to participate. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to give the floor to the representative of the main regulator of financing market. It's Ekaterina Lazgacheva, Director of the Financial Policy Department of the Ministry of Finance of the Russian Federation. So, Ekaterina, are the banks ready for the regulation of financial market, which is operating within the experiment? Distinguished Vladimir Borisovich and also the participants of the roundtable and forum, I'm glad to welcome you on behalf of the Russia Bank. As I mentioned before, there is not that much time, that's why let's get to the point. Talking about the paths and steps of the experiment, talking about the Russian bank, it is involved into regulation and management system of it. And right now we applied all essential steps and also prepared the legislation documents for these experiments. It is mostly work considering the partners and also participants of these experiments. 5 more companies applied for this experiment, so the participants are very interested in it. They want to be included into the register. Further on, it is essential to find the accounting and all the reports, the revelation of the information for the financing companies and non-financial companies on the funding that they could reach. The circle of participants is quite different. Not everyone, for example, provided the reports, like Russian bank, for example. We plan to act step by step. That's why right now we conduct some polls of participants of experiment. And many companies which are still not enlisted into the register, which apply for it, lots of companies. And within the framework of this polls, we would get the information which will help to develop the report system used on everyday basis. For some reason, it would be possible for the participants or further participants to work together with the bank. And as it was mentioned before today, we have already spoken about the spread of information about this experiment, especially on behalf of financial, non-financial organizations, but also on behalf of business about the opportunities of usage and of getting such products and such services. Moreover, it is the increase of financial knowledge which is needed. And everyone mentions that we need to get more financial instruments and more knowledge on this topic. Because if the citizen is using the tools they haven't worked before, they didn't know about them, they'll get the increase in this. So Russia Bank, with all its departments, pays a lot of attention on information and spread of the information and interaction with citizens on the everyday basis. What else I want to add is qualifications in the sphere of partners financing or counterpart funding. Even though we have different types of experiments, which are just for some time, for some terms or even current ones. The Russian bank also prepared the training course as one of the practices, especially for the personnel of the bank, but also the representatives of executive branch. It is also essential to interact with regulators, supervisors, and of warranty systems, of banking systems, those who are working with funds. And our colleagues actively respond, participate. We also conduct webinars. We conduct different meetings in order to get deeper into the details and peculiarities of this direction and apply all the practices. And of course, we get the contacts for the further development of our cooperation. To sum up, I want to notice that this topic is very versatile. That's why we need the full interaction and involvement of all participants. Right now, we get the expert committee mentioned before, and it's essential that on the platform of this council, there are representatives of Ministry of Finances, State Duma, regional representatives, and authorities of the legal entities which conduct this experiment. Apart from that, experts in the field of financing. So we have multi-level content of them. That's why I hope that on the platform of this council, we will come up with essential solutions and tools which can be applied in order to make this practice successful and competitive. Thank you very much for the participation. And if everyone is, I think everyone is interested in this experiment, so I'd like you to follow it up. I'd like also wish everyone, all the participants, an active and productive day, which will bring some fruitful results. Thank you, Ekaterina Nikolaevna. I had no doubts about the Russian bank that is ready for the experiment, and they will get the professional outlook on it and professional involvement in order to get the success. Now I'll give the floor to Kashapov Marat. Murat Danilovich, manager of the branch National Bank of the Republic of Bashkortostan under the Ural Main Directorate of the Central Bank of the Russian Federation. He is the pioneer in this sphere, so I believe that it would be essential to listen to the point of view of such an experienced person. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the formation of such roundtable under your supervision. I'm very grateful that even 1 year ago, we also summoned even before the first reading of the project. And right now we can estimate the first steps that we have already made, what we need to concentrate on. Of course, we have the foundation as since the 1st of September, one of the laws put into the operation because some of the types of organizations and the partnership, counterpart funding was confirmed in a legislative way. Some of the peculiarities of such operations were already discussed in all other regulative documents are put into operation in order to get this practice successful. I'd like to mention that we have the deadline, like the 1st September 2025. That's why we need to understand, first of all, the demand, and of course to organize the supply of the products, of the needs for customers, which were defined within the order and perspectives of the further regulation of counterpart funding. of course, as it was mentioned before, it's quite high pressure and high responsibility for our region. First of all, just because we need to show our results, and it's an opportunity to meet the needs of business, especially those people who choose such products due to their religious vision and customs vision. Here we have the representative of financial sector on the table, who are already participating into the experiment, and they are also ready to open the offices here in Bashkortostan. And I hope that this practice would start soon, just because we already have like some payment systems and some accounting operations which are working right now. There would be also an opportunity to conduct some active operations, for example, financing and funding. We also rely on those people who are who are the representatives of non-financial spheres. Like, for example, trade or leasing operations are already implemented. So we're glad that we have colleagues from Tatarstan, where this work is conducted more actively than here. And also for the participants of market here in Bashkortostan, it would be important to get such services here, and we hope that our colleagues would suggest us such services. And of course, looking at the example as this role model that we have, we understand that we can get another motivation for development. I also want to notify that we have a potential which goes throughout this law. For example, trading activity within the framework of this project. And we suppose that the law on digital legislation would also work for attraction to this market. We also have an opportunity to work together with the National Fund, which would be considered within the framework of the legislation accepted in 2024. So it would go hand by hand with the understanding of religious and customs visions of our clients. We also have the institutes of support for small and medium-sized businesses here. Moreover, these operations of leasing or, for example, lending companies would operate within the counterpart funding legislation. I wouldn't repeat my colleagues. The colleagues have already presented that information exchange and creation of the right atmosphere are the main topics, are the burning questions what we need to discuss and what issues what we need to solve. So we are expecting that universities and social media would support our project. Right now, within the consultancy with business and companies, we need the further development of legislation, not just for the counterpart funding, but also on the general funding. That's one of the parts which is ready for the partnership warranty. Another thing is, of course, is regulation of taxation. Apart from that, the adaptation of mechanisms of state support, for example, and also to include the questions which are connected with the boundaries and with the limits for different comradeships, which could also take part in the counterpart funding. Thank you very much. wish everyone success in the implementation of this experiment. Thank you very much, Marat. Now I'd like to give the floor to the representatives of the regions which take part in the experiment and also listen to your experience of implementation of such products in your region. I'd like to give the floor to Rustam Shubtukayev from the Republic of Chechnya. Thank you very much for giving the floor and for the time that I have. Unfortunately, our Vice Prime Minister is now on the business trip, so he cannot take part. And within the discussion of this topic, there were many things discussed before, on adoption of the law, on the previous practices, and now I'd like to start with the most essential questions and also get your support for the further conduction, for the further implementation of the project. As it was mentioned today, the citizens even don't know about the measures and services which are provided by Islam banking and also counterpart funding. That's why we need to spread the information to make it affordable for everyone, to make it clear for everyone. Here in the territory of Chechen Republic, we haven't got such representatives in business, but right now we actively work out the opportunity to involve them into the procedure and also get some legislation and get some orders, technical questions within the operation of these systems and these projects. Hope that within a week we will have first participants of the experiment. In general, I wanted to wish everyone, all the participants, productiveness, fruitfulness, and I hope and I'm looking forward for the further fruitful communication. Now I would like to give the floor to the representative of Republic of Dagestan, Murat Saniyevich Idrisov, manager of the branch National Bank of the Republic of Dagestan of the Southern Main Directorate of the Central Bank of the Russian Federation. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. Thank you very much for the opportunity to give the speech and also to take part in your roundtable. As we see, such foundations help us to synchronize all the participants and all the actions within the project. Right now, we are involved into development of such programs for partnership, and of course, the legislative branch is the agency on entrepreneurship and financing of the Republic. What do we do right now? So we conduct the meetings with business community. We discuss their perspectives and also perspectives for the region. We also met the representatives from religious communities. It's just the element of finance enlightenment. And also we decided to add the part of Sharia committee too. And with the help of the legislation of our region, we have formed the group on implementation of this project. And half of the companies which are working right now on the counterpart funding are located in Dagestan. And most of the companies, they are working with the loans and with, for example, discount systems. Right now, most of the representatives of Dagestan are not present at the counterpart funding, and now we have received free applications from free companies who want to participate in the project. So right now, for our region, we have the following objections, like creation of mechanisms for interaction, for example, on the basis of the working group, and also within our platforms, also forming up the competences for the participants of the experiment and also authorities in the sphere of financing, which would help us to advance the mechanisms we're working with, and also involvement of the new participants and detection of the new participants. As I mentioned, while we had announced this kind of the meeting in a few days, there would be several companies who would like to take part about it. Another thing is it's all about the demand. We have the potential customers and we would like to study the practices and also generalize the practices which are involved into the experiment, and also the business models which are presented by other regions involved into the project. And of course, we would like to estimate the socio-economic effect for the region. I think that's all. Right now, we are actively participating in the work and the interaction with business and also religious committees and communities. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Have a nice day. Thank you, Murat Saniyevich, for your work and for your position. And now we'll have the representative from the fourth entity of the Russian Federation, Tatarstan, Roman Demirovich Amirkhanov, Deputy Minister of Economy of the Republic of Tatarstan, Head of Social and Economic Monitoring Department. Welcome. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. So the work within the counterpart funding in Tatarstan, we have already conducted such works for 15 years already, based on the principles of Islamic financing. Even in 2014, we have signed the Memorandum on Cooperation. In Kazan University, we also have the faculty, we have the department which is dedicated to this topic. We are also involved into attraction of foreign finances with the help of the support of financing. There are several lending companies which provide the services for financing and getting the different types of financing. For example, the business financing, leasing connected within Shariat, and also using different types of funds and funding. They could get the debit card, which work within the principles of Sharia too. We have already financed more than 2,000 of enterprises. Some of them even got flats under this program, and we also issued more than 10,000 cards for it. But the residents of we need to systemize the work and also balance the traditional finances and conditions of work. Of course, we need to provide motivation for the medium-sized businesses to be involved into project. For example, if we talk about the deals, they doubled the amounts in comparison to the previous year. In October of this year, we had conducted social research where 17 banks took part, also 450 enterprises and several thousand of people. So those banks which are operating on the territory of our republic are highly interested in implementation and realization of Islamic products. Hope that it will get to the broadening of the customers base, also attract investments from Muslim countries even though we still have sanctions. So 39 enterprises are also interested in products of Muslim banking, mostly leasing and lending, apart from the different equipment and manufacturing of equipment. In order to implement this experiment together with all the branches and all the communities, we have formed the detailed plan for the period of implementation of this project. You can see it on the slide. The main boundaries for usage of counterpart funding is lack of information about products and financial organization. In order to inform citizens, we have created the enlightenment plan for TV and radio channels. Some of the banks also name that we haven't conducted enough work in this industry and the lack of personnel and specialists. So we have the second plan, it's training of specialists for this financing system. Apart from that, we decided to conduct the training programs for the personnel and counterpart funding. Apart from that, we would like to be involved into implementation of different other tools within the project. For example, mutual financing, development of university, and the creation of IT solution for comfortable usage and the opportunity to estimate the opportunities that they have. On the 3rd of November, we had a meeting together with the representatives of market and expert society and authorities. After that, we have received many suggestions that would be implemented within the project. Further, we plan to eliminate the barriers which we face and also create the right regulation and conditions for the further implementation of the project. So the result is about our work, is about our involvement. I believe that everyone sees that counterpart funding has a great potential, and the reason is that we need to reunite our efforts in order to get the successful result. And it would be possible to organize it on the territory of the whole country. Thank you very much, Roman Demirovich. Right now, I'd like to give the floor to the representative of the lending company, which has the practical experience in this project. It's Oleg Vladimirovich Ganeev, the major vice president of Sberbank. Thank you very much, Vladimir Borisovich. Good afternoon, Lera Zagwanovna and the representatives, participants of the round table. Sberbank was an active participant on the stage of preparation of this experiment, and right now we also actively participate in it. And I would like to inform you about the current status and the dynamics of this experiment. Can we change the slide? Do you see the presentation? Distinguished colleagues? While the switch on the presentation, the previous speaker has mentioned that on the 3rd of November, 3 weeks ago, on Friday, we had a similar event, the roundtable in the Republic of Bashkortostan. One of the participants of the experiment, and within these 3 weeks, Sberbank has created the new ADAFA card. We also launched the project financing. We started the scaling of products on 9 subjects of Russian Federation, including Moscow. It's 1,328 offices, including 148 offices in the Republic of Bashkortostan. I'd like to stress that even though we haven't opened the benchmark office, the sales of the products of counterpart funding are already put into operation. We also have conducted, at least finished conducting the training. So we are now preparing the third flow, the third group. And we are ready that the representatives of the Republic, representation of Republic would participate even further. We also had Click, our branch company, and also Sberbank received the status of the participant of Organization of Islamic Finances. And the next week, we already take part in the annual conference. So Sberbank is ready to become the bridge from the business society to this organization to present our suggestions on the development and advancement of the standards. Up to the end of the year, We will work up the question of involvement of other subsidiary companies. We start from the 4th of December on the marketing company on advertising of Counterpart funding. So it's quite good news. So today we have launched the mortgage Murabuha. And one of the regions where initially and secondary will get this mortgage is the Republic of Bashkortostan. So since today, we will enthusiastically interact here. We'll also start the leasing in Jara on the territory of Russian Federation. Further on, you can see that our product line for retail and wholesale segments looks like this. So this slide comes from one event to another one. We only add some new products here. But in principle, all the needs and all the demands are covered up by Sber. Without marketing, without this event that starts on the 4th of December, even though we haven't separated into products, more than 4,500 deals have already conducted. So as for active funding, we have at least the number which is close to 20 billions. In Republic of Bashkortostan, we have 137 billion. As the structure of trades, top three, Amana, Adafar, and accounting counseling. Of course, it's Tatarstan. Just because we have a benchmark office there, also Moscow and Dagestan, where we have no marketing events and no benchmark offices. It's all about communication and interaction between people. As for Bashkortostan, you can see that even though we have the infrastructure where we have 180 offices or 150 offices, I believe that we'll have a great increase before the marketing company launch. I need to share it because it's essential to provide information, to provide enlightenment and marketing. We need to take into consideration the segment and also the attitude of the business to the product. It is different from region to region among those participants of the project. Here you can see all the ideas, all the messages which we got after interviewing the people. What is essential for people? Trust, traditions, acceptance and respect, prosperity, health, family, halal, and also other events calendar. For example, lunar calendar, Kurban Bayram, other holidays which are essential for our customers. What else have we noticed? What else is essential? In corporate and in retail segment, the knowledge of people about such banking systems is quite low. And we also have a great interest, for example, in Makhachkala, and other people are interested in what are the profits that people and what the representatives can get. And they expect from the bank system frankness, details, which differences, which peculiarities make these services halal. Here we have 5 essential words like trust, family, traditions, and so on. People are mostly oriented on the fact that we have the line of products and they are competitive. As for Moscow and North Caucasus, they are mostly following and they are mostly claiming for religious values and norms. Only if you will conduct this, you will get the deal. Some of the customers also want their financial institute to see the product line for Muslims, especially among youngsters up to the age of 35. It's at least 40% of claims. On the broadening of the infrastructure, here we plan to have some benchmarks offices on the pilot territories, especially in the Republic of Bashkortostan. We also would like to have two formats. The first one is 149 offices which we already have, and also we want to add some light format like Islamic windows on the basis of the current infrastructure without opening of the new offices. The roadmap of Sber for the next year is now under preparation. We also want to conduct the concept of halal lifestyle into the project for 2025-2026. It's like a lifestyle of the segment where we have pharmaceuticals, leisure activities, clothes, makeup. So Islamic infrastructure is even broader than the financial one. Among others, we'll have warranties, car warranties, overturn warranties, and also digital actives, which would meet the regulations of the partnership. As for suggestions, what we have on this roundtable, we have studied the resolution, we have a lot of right suggestions, and we have another suggestion to broaden the information, give more information on the topic which was presented by Murat Danilovich, because we support it. We want to force the resolution with the help of them, and also Zikuanovna and Azamat Uralovich. It is essential what you have. We are involved into the roadmap development. We plan to make the finances available. It is essential to take into consideration the time, because 2 years is not that much. We have already 3 months have already passed, and in 2 months we'll get the question: how is it? How is the experiment? When you have a complicated deal within the segment, we could say that they are now considered. It can take more than 1 year if we would not work all together and simplify, speed up some of the stages due to our mutual work. For example, together the banks of the Republic, maybe some preferences in this segment, or as you wrote in your letter, that it would be possible, for example, in mortgage. Of course, it's all would speed up the experiment and will make it more dynamic and competitive. Thank you very much for your attention. I wish you good luck at the experiment and just in general. Thank you. Thank you, Oleg Vladimirovich. Your speech and also your practice that you have, you confirm that Sberbank is a benchmark of the banking system in Russia. That's why I call for all the colleagues to participate and to look at the Sberbank as an example. As you can notice, not only this for entities of Russian Federation which are under experiment, but also the purchases of these products are conducted in other regions of Russian Federation. You can see it even within Moscow. We have a lot of demand in other regions, and we would work out on it within the framework of our committee. Now I'd like to give the floor to Korovin Sergei Vladimirovich, the deputy chairman of deputy head of the Ural main department of the Bank of Russia. Thank you, Vladimir Borisovich. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. Today we have discussed the perspectives of counterpart funding. And on behalf of my company, one of the most perspective and segments where we could effectively use the counterpart funding is the cooperatives, housing cooperatives, where everyone is not firstly targeted at getting the income and are not looking at the loans and finances. Currently, and also within several years, we have several housing cooperatives, the work of which housing saving cooperatives, which meet the requirements of the partners. I cannot be that intriguing just because after me you will listen to Ramil Ravilievich, who can give the better outlook about this cooperative, about the peculiarities of it. I think that I want to show you the slide which demonstrate the high demand for these services, especially halal, this type, this form from this cooperative. You can see the numbers on behalf of the owners and on behalf of the volume of expenditures of each of them. So the numbers are doubled or even tripled than the average amount on the market. So this shows the demand on the market too. So you don't be afraid. You shouldn't be afraid on the reduction, which you can see there on the right. Just because one person pays the mortgage fully, he stops being the participant of cooperative. For cooperatives, this tool is the way to enter. It's the way to strengthen your positions in the market. It can be presented in organization of new cooperatives and also the creation of the branches of cooperatives on the territories of experiments. As for me, it's a chance to inhale, to start something new in the sphere of housing savings and also break up the tendency what we have, the tendency in reduction of housing savings cooperatives. So these are the first examples which could confirm such situation. We have noticed in August the creation of 2 new housing cooperatives in the territory of Dagestan. And actually, I also think that information and also the enlightenment of the participants of the projects, yes, our colleagues already presented it, already, especially with Sberbank, I can say that it's all about the way how we estimate the legal participants of the experiment. I believe that it's not that big right now because we have only 5, and that's why I claim for the business, I claim for the organizations, especially the housing saving cooperatives, which is not included into the following register to legalize their activities, and also it would help us to find out the main casualties, conduct the estimation, and find the results of these experiments. I think that's it. Thank you very much for attention.
Спасибо.
Thank you, Sergey. You've almost announced the next speaker. So I would like to give the floor to Mr. Batyrshin Ramil, coordinator of Jinka Halal project and the CEO of Bed Consulting Company. You're welcome. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Thank you very much for giving me the floor and for the interest in our activity. I'm the coordinator of the project since 2018, and I'm the CEO of the company. And a few words on the financing program. So a few words about the difference of this model from the previous form. So Islamic finances are now the Murabaha deals. So it is not a secret that this product is not cheap, and the cooperative is based on works without the financial any financial other financial parties. So as I've already mentioned here, different buyers help each other to buy the property, and each member wants to buy the property, and from the point of view of from the point of view of the shareholder, the person buys. So this person will buy the apartment using this program easier and simpler. So speaking of Islamic countries where banks use this program, there is a difference here. So the part that the person didn't buy, they rented, they pay for rent. In our case, they use it for free, which enriches the accessibility. So the results of our activity since 2018 showed that we had more than 2.6 billion rubles deals, and now more than 7,000 people solved their property issue according to Islamic experience and norms. So the experiment has started, but what difficulties can we face due to the practice that we have since 2018? We understand that the acting companies that could possibly join the experiment can have some difficulties for implementation the partnership products on the land. So on practice, many companies cannot decide if they are joining or not. Do they need it or not? Do they need to join this project? Do they need the products on the market? So the next step is to develop products. What is important on Shariat norms? You should consider three important aspects. In order to the product to sell, it should comply with the Shariat norms and comply with the interests of the consumer. And it's hard to find balance here, as I've already mentioned before. Our company complies with these norms, but the economy interest of the consumer is hard to understand and hard to consider. So when you face some compliance from consumers. So we have experience in that, and we have implementation experience. We know what it means to face challenges, and I would like to suggest our sharing experience. We are ready for the dialogue, and maybe we can build a long-term relationship with someone. Thank you very much. That's the end. Thank you, Ramil. I would like to ask. We don't have that much time, so I should say that we should follow the timing. And I would like to give the floor to Khairul Nazad, the head of a leasing company of the Republic of Bashkortostan. on the peculiarities of partner financing. Good afternoon, dear participants. Our company is dedicated to the financing on the territory of the Republic of Bashkortostan. Looking at the Islamic finance project, we've decided to participate. I think that our company complies to the requirements, and that's why we can participate and we can provide good conditions. We're working on implementing 2 projects, giving the property to another party, and we have just 2 projects, but we face problems. The first one is to develop a financial product. It is a hard process. Each product should be developed according to Sharia standard, audit and session, and we are cooperating with our colleagues, and we are grateful for their help. Our leasing company is finishing the launch of these products, and we think that the implementation of this product can be really helpful and a key event in for our company. Thank you. And now I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Sagdeev Rustam, the CEO of financial house Amal. You're welcome. Good morning, dear colleagues. 5 minutes is a short time because we've been in the industry for many years, but let me speak briefly. So I'm the representative of the company that are not non-credit associations, and we launched in 2010, and we were the first, one of the first companies, Islamic companies. We were able to connect the laws of the Russian Federation and the standards of Islamic standards. We have 2 directions. It is an analog of bank. We provide finance and investments. What do we finance? Small and medium businesses, deals up to 40 million rubles, and 30% of our activity is financing the projects. So since 2014, our geography was enlarged, and we are now working across Russia. So we don't work with certain regions, but we still operate across Russia in many cities, in many regions. So when we attract investments, we have 2 groups of products oriented when people keep their money to have them for something more. And the next is Cabo direction, which helps people to find money for a big purchase. And you on the slide you can see the whole ecosystem that we have. We have investor clients, and further we invest in businesses, and the funds go there. So as Islamic finance company, we understand the importance of Shariat control. You see 2 experts, Shariat experts on the slide. So we have 2 experts. One of them is responsible for each client, each project we are buying. they involved 24/7 in these processes, and we can guarantee that we are 100% a halal Islamic company. On the slide, you can see the structure for. So mostly. So private parties are about 30% of investments, but mostly the investments come from entrepreneurs. So we have a lot of activities provided, and we provide supplies and sales departments.
So we expand, and today we have opened the office in Moscow and in Kazan. A year ago, we renewed the office and also created the co-working room there. We conduct different events on the financial enlightenment. We also have lots of competences in the way of structurizing the deals on the territory of our country. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rustam Rustamovich. The next topic that I'd like to give the floor to is about the potential of development of Islamic ecosystem in the Republic of Bashkortostan. I'd like to give the floor to Madina Kalimulina, the acting secretary of the experts in Islamic sector. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. I hope that you can hear me. Can you hear me? Thank you. Yes, we can hear you. I would speak short, especially because I have sore throat today. First of all, why I would like to apply for creation of a new ecosystem in the Republic of Bashkortostan. First of all, each financial model needs accounting and taking into consideration the specifics of it, especially for those who are working on the market. They see it. And first of all, we need to take into consideration the objectives and goals the Republic has in order to develop the new constructive field, especially considering the financing and non-financing fields. The second issue is that in comparison to other regions, we have no players on the market here. Mostly it is presented by the representatives of other regions. And taking into consideration the specifics, we can create the best model, summoning all the best practices of Russia and abroad. We can become the center of the Islamic finances for Siberia, for example. Other regions, it's also an objective goal which we need to reach. I think that we need to consider some of the indicators of effective development of the ecosystem, among which we can name several niches, several fields and players, for example, cooperative and export cooperative systems, which are not fully represented on the market, or for example, warranties, pension funds, which were announced before. And of course, we need to provide the opportunities for investment projects. Some share of them should be presented by the mechanisms of counterpart funding. Also, the specific economic zone, the development of specific economic zone is also essential for building up the structure and development of this region. Apart from that, the enlightenment in finances, it's a social responsible business. That's why we need to include the work with business into the project. I'd like to pay special attention to the increase of the numbers of our state projects, because right now they're lower than medium, lower than average. It could be their potential recipients in this industry. And to sum up all the elements of the ecosystem into one slide, but I believe that there would be even more, I want to highlight the suggestion on accelerator for the participants of the experiment. For every participant, easily get the answers for the questions they have, including having the access to some box solutions. Of course, it won't be that way fast, but we can move towards it. Also, we can discuss other variants and other tools and instruments to work on this product. Why not to consolidate the efforts of the following participants and players in the region? Also for business clients and just people and participants of the experiment, that would be essential. Once again, I'd like to apologize for my voice. I hope that I revealed some of the aspects. Thank you very much. It was easy to hear you. And also, you gave an interesting idea to us. So I hope that the participants of the roundtable and those who take part in the experiment would take into account your ideas too. Now, I'd like to give the floor to Torsten Alexander, the participant of the working group of Central Bank. We also know him as one of the experienced legislators of the Russian Federation. Thank you very much. Thank you for the honor to be the part of this meeting. And I also wanted, so Lyra went away. I also wanted to say some words, some thanks for the government of the Republic of Bashkortostan, and to say thank you to Murat Danilovich too. So we sit here, look at each other. For how long can we here on this platform discuss these questions? I can say that even I was involved into this topic for already 30 years. It's burning questions, and it needs scaling, but still we have those who are against it. Speaking frankly, in 2006, there was a message about creation of counterpart funding banks. And right now, even though some political management systems received the message like we are working for terrorists, I could even say that the name is Burkovich. He was the manager of department. There were interesting investments from Sberbank. I want to give my regards to Ed. And now halal windows are already put into operation, but those times when they started to operate, I could say that an average client cannot understand fully, so it's not that competitive. All those processes, like you give, you receive, and it's still evident that it would be quite difficult to understand whether you receive some income or not. I also want to say thank you to the Development Bank. One of the agreements were signed in Kazan, in Tatarstan. We also have the framework agreement. We have the support group. I wanted to thank Rustam Rustamovich that even though they had no legislation, they knew that Islamic finances are not present at all. But still, and we see that there is no support. But still, we have we have the experience. But as for me, I was claimed by Vladimir Borisovich to say some words about the situation. The banking is within partnership. The state is non-that religious. Of course, we take into consideration Shariat norms because they are involved into this financial industry for quite long. Talking about Christianity, we have no Christian banks. Even though our religion is not about over generosity, previously we had a group long ago when we made an effort to create a counterpart funding, but they failed because Russian Christian church is not ready to concentrate the money in one hands. There was the bank named after the Church of Jesus, Holy Jesus. After that, we had another banking based on the church. That's why we need to be careful, because money is a tricky question. That's why I'd like to give my regards to, and also to say thank you. It's not on behalf of my bank, central bank, but I want to support those people who are moving enthusiastically, because you see, we haven't discussed this topic on all Russian level. But waiting for it, I don't know whether we can wait until the 4th of December, we'll see. But all the people need to exchange their experience. And each event we have, I also brought a big group of Eurasian Business Alliance here. We have 4 leaders. They are future investors. They are future people who would promote this topic. What else I must add? Nothing changes, and my latest colleague, Oleg Evgenievich, I would like to notice him and his work, because he is thoroughly involved into the topic. Just because 70% of organizations, Islamic organizations, are present here. But as for Tatarstan, they have the bigger percentage than here in the Republic of Bashkortostan. But still, we have some worries that maybe we'll fail. But let's not think about it. We work for almost 3 months, and Bashkortostan, Tatarstan, of course, will reach the success. Can you just imagine such situation that in 2 years, central bank says, we failed. Let's give up everything. Let's do the traditional banking. And it's enough to offend the amount of population, Islamic population. And also I wanted to note 20 million is an official number which we had. I have heard about it in 1999. So in Russia, there are 20 million some Muslims. I don't know why we don't change these numbers. Is it about migration, or people stopped giving birth to children? But still, we can see that it's something in between 33%. It's the force that leads to changes within the political structure, national structure, but still will reach the success. I agree, I totally agree. I cannot understand. We need to have a bigger vision, a broader vision, because the lifestyle is changing. So we go further. And our ancestors created halal and some Christian traditions, but still will move towards it and will win. Thank you very much for the attention.
So you are very experienced speaker. So thank you for your presentation. So dear colleagues, we end up our round table, and I would like to thank each speaker, each participant of the round table, and the organizers as well, and this forum in general. So I guess that those offers that were discussed so will be considered, and you all saw the text of the resolution. And You can also send your offers in a written form. They will be considered on the federal level and on the republic level as well, as a part of Coordination Council. I would like to say thank you and everything the best. Goodbye.